A pretty big game as well for our game of the week, and that's West Rusk versus Tatum. And you know who's out there, Dan? Our very own Jesus Martinez. Yes, getting the vibes right before the game. Jesus, how is it so far?
Hey, it's a little hard to hear you guys because homecoming is happening right now. We got like a whole bunch of fans behind the camera cheering on for their favorite court winners here. But on top of homecoming, we also have the game of the week here again, Tatum versus West Rusk. Now, I caught up with both coaches earlier this week, and they told me there were a lot of wrongs last week and a lot of rights that need to go right in order to win a game tonight. Check it out.
We were unfortunate Friday and came up a couple of points short, and actually it's the first time in my career we actually scored more touchdowns than the other team and lost.
The Tatum Eagles are coming off their first loss of the season.
We missed every extra point, so we have some work to do in the kicking game.
And despite some downfalls in that matchup against Newton, Coach Keeling says they're dusting off to get ready for their game against the West Rusk Raiders.
We're very talented. Coach Mata and his staff do a great job. We've played these guys a ton over the years.
You know, anytime you get thrown into the fire against the likes of Gladewater and Dieball and Malakoff, you know, you don't have a choice but to grow up quick, and it won't get any easier this week. You know, you're sitting there with Tatum, who's playing really well right now.
West Rusk is also coming into this game with a loss last week against Gladewater, but Coach Mata says his young team is ready for a beast like Tatum.
We've got a lot of kids that are playing their first Friday night games. We had a couple that were playing on Thursday nights last year as 8th graders. So, you know, to see them grow up the way they have the last couple of weeks and accept some of the challenges that we put in front of them, it's been good to see that.
These two teams are no strangers to each other, but each year brings in a new team dynamic.
We were more of our running team with our quarterback, and this year it's more of our running backs and halfbacks that are carrying the load.
Well, offensively, the biggest thing is just taking care of the football. So that's going to be a big focus for us this week. Defensively, it's going to be like we always do. We just rally to the football. Coach Wade, Coach Milby do a good job of making sure those guys flying around.
And for the Eagles, there's one more thing.
To be able to kick extra points.
Simple and easy.
Simple and easy.
Simple and easy, that's all it takes. Now, this is the last week before both teams can polish up before district play next week. And Tatum will face against the Sabine Cardinals for their first district game next week. Meanwhile, the West Rusk Raiders will face the Elkhart team in their first week of district play. Dan Serenity, great game here tonight.
Yeah, Jesus, it for sure is. And I love that